It's no surprise that we need more houses, with more people coming into the country, with more people of retirement age. We need to encourage people to work and to be within reach of the places where they are working. 1.5 million homes are needed over the next period of the Parliament. And we have outdated planning systems which cause delays, with councils and committees regularly stalling projects. I remember sitting in on council committee meetings for housing and being slightly appalled at the sort of dilatory and desultory way in which housing projects were delayed and sidestepped. And Angela Rayner's past protests, for example, against specific developments in her own area were very much the sort of thing that I was used to seeing. And now she's changing her policy, her practice, and she wants to say, oh well, actually, you know, when I was protesting against that particular development, there was another development that could have happened across the field, and it didn't. Well, it's not quite an explanation, is it? It still comes across as a bit of a sort of NIMBY protest with a placard. And her plans to bypass the existing inefficiencies, I think, are noble. This is a good thing. Over 120,000 planning applications are stuck in the system simply because the system isn't working, and that is something that shouldn't be happening. And fewer than 20% of major applications are resolved within the 13-week statutory period, and that again is something that we should be ashamed of. There's council obstruction, such as the Kent Development Project. There's economic and social costs of delays with housing shortages, unaffordable homes, and reduced infrastructure investment. And indeed, the case of housing developments being built without the corresponding shops and schools and leisure facilities which were originally promised. The entire thing is chaotic. Just down the road from me, there's a huge housing development, and it's like some sort of lost horizon. It's house after house, and there's no there's no sort of central structures where people can meet. It's just a wilderness of development, and you think, how is this possible in the 21st century? Surely there were conversations. Surely there was some sort of application process where proper infrastructure was there to support this growing part of the town. But that doesn't seem to have worked. But then I look around what the rest of the town council is doing here in Rugby, and I realise nothing works. So I'm not greatly surprised now. Angela Rayner's thing, yeah, if we can build more houses, it's a good idea. She wants to shift the approval power to local planning officers for projects that are already compliant with existing local plans and national planning policy frameworks, and therefore bypass local council committees to prevent the sort of damaging delays caused by repeated debates and NIMBYism. She wants to remove subjective criteria that are often used to block developments and ensure clear guidelines are there to prevent arbitrary refusals. And she wants to reiterate the Labour's goal, which I think should be everybody's goal, of building 1.5 million homes by 2029. And if you go back to the historical achievements, noting that England hasn't built 300,000 homes in a single year since 1969. But what was it doing before that? What was it doing before that was so successful? Angela Rayner's past opposition to housing projects as a local activist needs to be considered, and I'm sure will be dredged up again and again by the media, because it's in stark contrast to her current position as the deputy PM with this plan for a robust housing system. But she talks about grasping the nettle of planning reform, which she says is essential to Labour's plan for change. And her interventions in the Kent and Buckinghamshire cases highlight Labour's commitment to override local opposition when necessary. And even if these Labour Party pledges are going to acknowledge criticism from local councils and residents, concerns about the loss of democratic input are reasonable. And there's almost certainly going to be a potential backlash from communities opposing development projects. But maybe we need a better way to assess these projects rather than sitting in a council office, sitting in a council chamber or a council committee room and hearing the same people put forward the same tired arguments. We need the real voices of the real people who are concerned. And planning decisions will still align with democratically agreed local plans, and streamlining prevents, or all it will do is to prevent unnecessary bureaucracy clogging up the system. It won't compromise, or at least I hope it won't compromise, accountability. There am I doing Angela Rayner's job for her. I don't even particularly support her, but I think this particular ambition to build more homes is a good one. And as I say, having seen the way councils mess around, it's time. If a council can't do the job, then frankly they need to be sidelined. And I think the government is right to reiterate the urgency of housing reform to address shortages, to stabilise the market, to meet this ambitious milestone of building houses to support people who need them. By bypassing delays and prioritising efficiency, I think it's right that we can finally build the homes the country desperately needs. The time for endless debates is over. The place for endless debates is demonstrably not the council committee rooms. The time for action is now.